Americans of Reddit. What is something you didn't realize was typically American? Until you went abroad? In the UK, the word bacon is not the same as the US bacon. You call US bacon streaky bacon. This caused me to be very sad the first time I ordered bacon while on holiday. At a buffet in Germany, I had to pay for ketchup. Of all the things I've read in this thread, this is by far the worst one. Ranch flavor Doritos in the Netherlands are called cool American flavor. I'm from Northern Europe but have visited USA couple of times. Their love for SUV cars and drive-through is unreal. Like there is a Dunkin', Subway and 3 kinds of fast food place next to each other and all of them have a drive-through. We call them drive-throughs. Drive-ins are outdoor movie theaters. Smiley face. Small avocados. Went to Puerto Rico. Was like, yo, I'll have like 6 of those stuffed avocados. Buddy was like, yo gringo, I think you underestimate the size of our avocados here. Just have one and I'll being you more if you want after. I had half of one. It was like a football. Big avocados don't last very long so you can't export them without freezing them. That's why you only see the small ones in supermarkets. I moved to England from Texas about 6 years ago. One of the major things that I noticed was that smiling and being friendly towards strangers was considered bizarre. This is a bit true in any metropolitan area, but especially in the UK. In Texas I was used to smiling at people, asking for directions if I needed them, and being friendly towards strangers. I learned very quickly that smiling at someone on the tube, or asking someone for directions on the street immediately makes someone think you're trying to scam, rob them or you're crazy. Okay, so, this one is probably pretty obvious. And looking back on it, it's really embarrassing. My family took a European vacation when I was 17. For some reason, we decided to get KFC in the UK. Because, Murica, my friend who came with us went with me to order and pick up our order. We ordered a family-size bucket of chicken. And they asked us what kinds of side dishes we wanted. We said, biscuits. And the employees looked at us with the strangest look. UK KFC, you want? ... Biscuits with your chicken? Me, yes. Biscuits. UK KFC, we don't sell those. Me, what do you mean you don't sell biscuits? What are your sides? UK KFC, chips? Me, you mean French fries. Okay, fine. That'll do. I was worldly enough to know that chips meant French fries. But biscuits, in the UK are cookies. My fata tried to order fried chicken and cookies. I am positive someone over in the UK is still telling this story at parties as an example of how disgusting Americans are. Also on this same trip my father asked why our waitress kept saying cheese when she was saying cheers. We really left a good impression across the pond. Then what are American biscuits? The prices abroad don't add tax after the fact. You pay what the price shows. No need to figure the tax. Dumb that we do that here. Getting to choose from like 50 different types and subtypes of sodas. Hearing commercials advocating you to go to the doctor and demand a prescription for whatever fantasy pill is new to the market on the radio like it is no big deal. How iced coffee is actually ice cream in your coffee. Best surprise Germany ever offered me. Same in Australia lol. I did an art history course in Italy. What really stood out to me was the size of cars over there. Over here you have a mix of mid-sized sedans and pickup trucks, SUVs. With the occasional compact car. Back when I went, compact cars here were incredibly scarce. Over there, it seemed like most everyone drove a compact car. With the occasional sports car. I remember counting 6 pickup trucks in the 10 days I was there. For comparison, I can name more than 6 people I know with a pickup here. The difference is in Europe most cities have been built centuries ago when cars were basically science fiction. Come use an American truck and you will give up navigating any city in 5 minutes and you can forget trying to park anywhere. I've never been abroad. Is that American enough? Jaywalking. The rest of the world thinks this is a made-up crime you only see in movies with corrupt cops. How large grocery stores are here. My wife is not American and we lived in China and were in HK all the time. They had large international stores that were great and she didn't really grasp the size of American grocery stores till our first week in the USA and there's 150 feet of cereals on one aisle. Having your drink constantly refilled at restaurants. I just wanna drink a ton of water, alright? In my country 90% of restaurants do not offer free water at all. You have to buy bottled water and of course it costs way too much for friggin' water. Tailgates. I've lived in the States my entire life. But when my Spanish girlfriend came to visit I wasn't sure what I could show her that really exhibited American culture. There are plenty of American stereotypes you see on TV. But it wasn't until I took her to a tailgate that I realized how violently American the whole experience is. A huge parking lot full of drunk 20-year-olds bouncing on trucks bigger than most European apartments. With half the trucks blaring country. And the other half blasting rap. Solo cups and beer cans all over the place. Grills. Cornhole. Etc. I've traveled to quite a few different countries. And I can't really see a tailgate happening most other places. The stereotype about us being loud is true. I never thought of myself as being loud until I went abroad and would hang up the phone after speaking in what I thought was appropriate volume to find everyone around me was staring at me. And realized how much more quiet they were. Lol whoops. Portion sizes. My high school senior trip to London. As a typically ravenous appetite 18-year-old, I couldn't get over how small everything was standard. My Canadian family had the opposite problem. I'll take a large soda. Holy s, this is a bucket. Red plastic cups for parties. So much so that people outside US use them as an accessory to American themed parties. Yeah, I've always called them the American cups since I've never seen them where I live. But always saw them in college, high school themed movies. Not an American. But I can always spot Americans at the airport because they take off their shoes at security even if it's not required. We've just had it so ingrained in us. People can just drink in public in other countries? That was wild to me. It would be weird not to be able to. People would riot here. You know, we value our freedom. The whole "we're leaving Europe cause our beliefs are too Puritan" thing is still echoing around. Old Robin Williams joke, how much of a tita do you have to be for the British to say, "Alright, get the F out"? Single quote question mark single quote. Keeping AC on 100% of the time in the summer. Visited Madrid for about a month to see the exchange student we housed. And found that they typically only turn on AC at night to sleep or when it reaches a damned 105 DEGF. Americans like to save money. 2. My dad would have a hemorrhage if we had the AC on all day. Men wearing shorts. Common in some parts of the world. Absolutely unheard of in others. No matter how hot it gets outside. Other than a swimsuit at the beach. None of my male cousins wear shorts ever. At all. In their home country. There's a big shortage of water fountains once you leave the US, I've noticed. This is only kinda related. But if you're ever in Rome, there are public water fountains everywhere along the side of the street, not the big fountains in squares and stuff. They look like a pretty normal water pump. They're all completely drinkable. Prescription drug advertisements on TV. New Zealand is the only other major country that allows it. Though it's going to be banned here shortly, it seems. Convenience stores that carry just about everything you need. Right? The average American gas station could sustain your life indefinitely. It might not be healthy. But you'd get by. Food in Asian convenience stores is far better than American though. Source: ate several full meals purchased from Japanese and Taiwanese 7-Elevens. Man, we need to get those Asian 7-Elevens in this country. They were fantastic. How are you being used in place of hello even with strangers. In the US, how are you needs only to be replied with good. You, almost as a way of saying hi. Elsewhere, people don't really know how to respond when a stranger asks, how are you? How you doing? Or, how's it going? In England, at least the North, saying all right as a greeting is pretty similar. As in, are you all right? Alright? Way I man. My British friend makes fun of me for how much cheese I use in my cooking. Doesn't stop her from inhaling my potato casseroles. But there you go. Root beer is apparently disgusting and an offense to most of the world's palate. A Japanese girl living with us as an exchange student described it as too spicy. Buying stuff and the cashier putting your items in a plastic or paper bag. Went to Germany. And found it strange they don't bag your items. Everyone just brings their own bag or dumps their stuff in a backpack. Drinking water with your meal in a restaurant. First visit to a restaurant after being stationed in West Berlin, it was a while ago, I asked the waiter for a glass of water. Then 4 of my fellow soldiers chimed in that they would like a glass of water as well. The waiter replied, 4 glasses of American champagne coming up. Upon his return with the water, I asked why he called it American champagne and he told me, because you Americans drink water like we Germans drink champagne. I stopped asking for water after that. I doubt this is restricted to America in any way. But when I studied abroad in the UK, the lack of public drinking laws was a bit of a culture shock. Being able to walk outside with a bottle of beer was very freeing. Turns out I need to visit New Orleans. Road trips. At least just jumping in the car and driving a few hours without giving it much thought. I live in a large western state and it seems at least every other weekend my family and I were in the car traveling for a few hours to see some sight. Go into Mexico or another state. I have relatives in Switzerland and they were going to drive us to the Frankfurt airport and I was blown away how big of a deal it was to them. My uncle had the car inspected, shopped around for gas, and printed off travel and weather reports. All for a trip my dad would have said, hey, let's do this weekend. In the car, kids. It is a Japanese culture to always greet someone as a sign of respect, but I feel uneasy that Americans sometimes looks at you and do a half smile while not saying anything. Measuring walking, driving distance in blocks. It's the unit of measure I use most frequently when giving directions. The restaurant is 3 blocks away. Go south 1 block and then 2 blocks west. I live 6 blocks from the grocery store. It wasn't until I studied abroad in England and got a complete blank look when I asked someone how many blocks away the library was that I realized using block as a measurement only makes sense in cities that were largely pre-planned and built on grid system. AKA, not many places outside the US. Garbage disposals in sinks. When I moved to the UK, my flatmates asked how in movies people would stick their hands in the sink drain and it'd be ripped apart. I told them about garbage disposals and they were very weirded out. Thanks for the gold. Who knew a comment about garbage would be so popular? Cold drinks. Every European country I visited, the drinks would best be described as cool but definitely not cold like in the US. I found an English pub in Portugal that served ice-cold beer and had those steel cold strips along the bar counter to keep the drink from warming up fast. That became my spot. Ice in drinks. Yep. At a nightclub in France. They had a single small bowl with ice cubes from the refrigerator to plop into cocktails. On a flight back from China, I asked for ice in my water. And they used tongs to pluck up and drop into my water 1 piece of ice about the size of a grape. Ask any soldier after multiple deployments what one of the most remarkable things about America, and it would be massive grocery stores. Having plenty of free bathrooms around for the public to use. Free public restrooms. When I visited Europe, I thought it was the strangest thing that you had to pay to use a public restroom. And the condition that most of them are kept in is appalling. Why am I paying for this? Eating a burger and fries with your hands. I just assumed everyone did this. I went to Sweden with my boyfriend and we stopped at a burger joint. Small local place. When the chef heard we were American, he immediately wanted us to try a specialty burger he made and tell him what we thought about it. They were all excited when we picked it up with our hands and we realized everyone else in the place was using a fork and knife. Burger was 11 tenths. That's kind of adorable tbh.